Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CT Sports Town Show. My name is Christopher Saunders. I'm pleased to have on with me from New Canaan, the Rams, Coach DeVito. First year as far as with the baseball program, has been a part of the basketball program for a number of years. New Canaan, part of also the FCAC, which is a very dominant conference in multiple sports. Jay, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. And I really appreciate what you do for, Connecticut schools and covering all these athletes. It's really nice to see that these kids get this recognition and these teams get this recognition that they deserve. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, it's always fun to be able to hear the stories. And I mean, your story in and of itself, obviously a former player, you played for Danny, who, Coach Melzer is the head coach at New Canaan, has done a fantastic job both at Stanford and then now being with NC as well. You take over on the baseball side for Anthony, who've been a part of the program, I think, for 16 years, if I remember right, 8 years as the head coach towards the end and had some very good teams. I always tell people when you look at an FCX school, don't look at the record because the FCX is so tough and so deep. I kind of equate it to like the SEC, where like once you get out of there, it's like, wow, okay, now we can actually play a team that's not like pure dominance, right? Where you got all these
Yeah,
top round talents. And I feel like, New Canaan baseball, for example, I remember I interviewed a kid, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, was hitting like 500. But the
yeah, Alex
team
Benevento.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. So, and I remember the team was I think they just got into the playoffs, but they were like struggling. But
yeah,
the teams that they were playing were West Hill, who had a bunch of talented arms. Staples had a bunch of Division One arms. Norwalk, I think, was kind of in their down year, but they were still very good. Like, it's just one of those things, man, where you're in a tough league each and every
yeah,
week.
absolutely. And even go like I've been an assistant. So I was an assistant there the last 3 years. So like going into the state tournament, it's really like, all right, if we could try to avoid an FCX school in the first round, I think we got a little bit of a better shot. Just based off of how our league is, it's very competitive, but ultimately, I think it makes us better for that end of the year run, which we were able to do in my time there as an assistant. We made it to the quarterfinals 2 out of the last 3 years. So we went on some runs, which was exciting to be a part of. And understanding that these kids, they know that if we get in, like we have a shot to make some noise. And in baseball, like anybody knows, once you get in, like the hottest team usually ends up winning. So
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, look at Glastonbury.
yeah, I know. It was a pretty impressive run out of them last year.
I mean, it's a shame, dude, how, I mean, bases loaded. They try to bunt, pop it up. Runner for third gets thrown out because he was all the way down the line, on contact. And we know about what happened with that. South Windsor ends up winning the title.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, I've always, believed you could finish ugly. I mean, look at the Tigers for baseball, for pro baseball, right?
yeah,
They finished ugly and they went to game 5 in the ALDS, against the team that right now, the Mariners. I mean, they went 15 innings in game 5.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
come on now.
And then you saying this like just makes me immediately go back to when I was in college, and I went to Central Connecticut. We would lose to Bryant in the regular season 80% of the time, and then we make it to the playoffs, and things start to change a little bit. I was fortunate to win 2 conference titles versus Bryant. So you get in and anything could happen. I've seen usually at that point.
So, with you being at Central, man, and obviously being a part of talented programs there, I know I interviewed the pitching coach. What was it, Patrick Hall, if I remember.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah, I interviewed
my
him a
guy.
couple years ago, and from my time when I was broadcasting for the Bristol Blues, I remember Peyton Stevens,
Yep,
Buddy Dwayne was on that team, uh,
yep,
Matt Shane, the lefty. He
yes.
was from Colchester.
Those are probably you just probably named my three best friends
Oh,
from
perfect.
college. Peyton
Oh,
was my roommate, Matt was
yeah.
my roommate, and Buddy was a year above me. But I just got married like a month ago, so I just saw all of them. They were at my wedding, so
Oh,
yeah,
well,
some
congratulations.
really good relationships with those guys, and we were able to build something really special that was already kind of the foundation was there already, but
Mhm.
we were just able to continue that success when we were there. We had some really good times.
So, were you? just thinking out loud here, were you on that team that took LSU to like the final at bat?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I played third that game. I had a pretty good tournament when we were in the regional at that was at Oregon. So we ended up losing. We lost 13-10 to Oregon. Um, and then the next game we played LSU and lost 6-5 in extra innings. So like we were right there with two top 25 teams in the nation, which was pretty cool experience to be a part of that.
What is it, man? And I know we're going off the subject with New Canaan, but just because we're talking about this, because I think this will equate to New Canaan in just a second. What is it about playing at Central where, because they're in the NEC, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So, obviously that conference has kind of evolved a little bit. Some teams come in, come out, etc. But Central is always in the thick of things, regardless of if they're kind of iffy, if they're good, if they're solid, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
What is it about that program where each and every year competition for an NEC title? Because let's be honest, unless you're in the Power Four, you got to win your conference or you're not getting in.
Yeah.
And you guys find a way each and every year, even if you're missing like a couple arms, maybe the bats are not as good, but you just figure out ways. How is that?
I
How?
think it's just like it's a bunch of gritty guys that like, it's a state school, so we're not handed everything. We're not given gear and this and that. And so like I think ultimately like that made us like tougher competitors and like made us closer, our bonds closer than ever. And it just really made us like want to compete and get better for each other and for the program because Coach Hickey does a great job with recruiting. Obviously, like that's probably the number one thing is the guys that he's bringing in, but also the type of guys that he's bringing in. Like he knows, like I said, it's a state school. You don't have the most funding in the world. And some kids may know that going in, some kids may not know that going in, but like at the end of the day, like they really preach like we have enough. What we need is in front of us. So like it's up to you guys to put in the work and stay connected and really grind this thing out. And that's gritty is like the one word that I feel like from Central, like that's the word that I always go to.
You know,
Like
I,
Buddy Dwayne was the guy that was he's
yeah.
gritty. Like that's
Oh,
the
dude,
definition of
100%. I think if I remember right too, he would bat with no batting gloves.
yeah, yeah. He was that type of kid. And like the type
Yeah.
of kid where you'd love to have him on your team, hated to face him. And I
I
loved him. So
Yeah, I remember when he pitched a couple games. I was like,
yeah, yeah,
okay, cool, you can pitch, sweet.
yeah. It's pretty impressive.
I mean, that Blues team in 2018, 2019 had a lot of Central kids on. I mean, another kid who pitched a little bit was Dominic Nyman, if I remember right.
Yeah, who got
West
picked up?
Hartford.
He got picked up with the Rays.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
he
yeah,
ended up transferring to
yeah.
Kentucky
Kentucky.
for a year
Yeah.
and had a really good year.
So it just goes to show, like, you could be, obviously he did a lot of good things at Central and had to prove himself. But if you have aspirations of wanting to play at the big league level, like, you can do well at Central and either move on to a bigger conference or you could even get, because some guys have been drafted out of Central too.
Yeah, like Mullins was picked up that year of the COVID year. Like it's possible for sure, 1,000%. Like you got to put up the numbers, you got to produce, and I think winning ultimately. I tell my guys this now, like as an assistant, like you guys want to go play in college, coaches want to watch your teams play. So like, you're gonna have a better shot at getting recruited if your team is good. So ultimately, like it's not really up to your personal success. It's really about like your team's success, and then the rest,
Mhm.
handles itself out pretty much, in my opinion.
Before we get to the baseball side, just want to ask you too, this is kind of like a funny comment here, but I think about obviously you, Tish, and Danny on the court, right? Obviously, you've got flow, Tish has flow. Danny's basically, he's not bald yet, but I'm sure with all the strength he's
Tish is
got.
getting there too. When's the
Oh,
last time you
oh, oh,
seen
Tish is
him?
getting there too?
He's getting there.
Oh, it must be his son.
My
Shame
guy,
on him.
but they're older than me, so I don't want to talk too soon because you never know this could be coming up soon. But
But
yeah, those
you
are
think
both my
about
guys.
Like you think about you three and just obviously like it's a nice mix. Like Danny's the older head, then Tish is the middleman, and then you being the young cat. Like it's
Yeah,
kind of like three different generations of the game of basketball in a way. So I feel like that can kind of bode well for a ever evolving, young crop of kids that you guys get each and every year, minus the
Yeah,
kids that are coming back.
it's a really nice dynamic, and like Danny does a good job of like structuring roles and like responsibilities as to what he wants us to do and what he wants us to focus on. And like I just really think we mesh well. Like we talk all the time. We're all in school. We hang out together outside of school. Like that goes a long way. So I'm really appreciative to not only Danny but also Tish. Um, for taking me on pretty much and guiding me in the right direction. So
I want to go to the baseball side quick while I have you, and I appreciate you coming on. I mean, when the job became open, I mean, how deep was the interview process? I mean, were you like the first name that was thought of? Did you automatically put an application? Like, how did that happen?
yeah, so I put in right away, right when I saw that it opened. Obviously, I had a conversation with Anthony just to kind of pick his brain a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, this was actually all going on too, like while I was getting to the end, couple weeks of my wedding. So like a lot was going on at the time, all at once. But like I don't work in the summer much because I'm a teacher, so I was able to make it work, obviously, and the timing you know, worked out. So I applied for the job. The interview process was, about 2 weeks. I interviewed and then we kind of did like a little bit of a second interview. But it ended up working out in my favor, and I'm just very grateful for the athletic department at New Canaan, for giving me an opportunity and trusting that I could lead these group of young men.
Were you able to do anything? Because I know with the CIAC being able to allow sports to have a couple hours during the summer over the course of each week, obviously baseball is probably the one. Spring sports specifically get affected probably the most because the kids are playing for their travel ball, Legion ball, softball. Obviously, they're traveling around the states. Baseball is the same situation. And with you being, although you were the assistant the last couple of years, so you have familiarity with the program for obvious reasons being a head coach is a little bit different. Were you able to do anything with the team over the summer of which the CIAC allowed time-wise?
Not really. I mean, I've been really focused on like the youth programs during the summer. So I've been putting in my time down there and really trying to develop the younger levels. I've also, here and there, I kind of feel a lot of our kids play in a program called CTBC, which is pretty much based out of New England, but they also include kids from other towns. So, I've gotten involved in that program a little bit and, just kind of trying to throw my face here and there and helping out whatever needed, whenever it's needed. But, I just love being around baseball as much as possible. And it's something that I've always done. I've always been around sports. I played basketball, baseball, and football in high school, but like ultimately baseball was like something that I saw a future in the most. So, it's a little tricky nowadays, like because there's so many different programs and like it's almost impossible to keep these kids like playing with the same program. But I think they do a pretty good job in New Canaan as to our senior class coming back. A lot of them play together in the summer, so they've been able to grow together. So that's why I think we got a lot coming back, so we should have a pretty good year this year.
Before I let you go, Jane, again, I appreciate you coming on really quick, especially with you being a younger guy, with everything that is with baseball. I mean, when you think of analytics and you think of stats and the electronics, baseball is kind of the first thing. Pro baseball is going to have ABS next year, which is automatic balls and strikes. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've seen, the replay kind of evolve as well and everything else. And you got blast motion, you've got, launch angle. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, it's TrackMan. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
All the different kind of technological things. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a Yankee fan, so here's the output. It's like the analytics can help, but they also hurt. And I think like looking into specific launch angles and metrics,
Mhm.
I really value the athlete and the guy that's really going to try to do whatever they could
Mhm.
to make their team win. It goes back to me playing at Central. That's how I was coached. I like an old school style, you know, a situational hitter, a guy that, could bunt a guy over, move a guy over, hit and run, really aggressive on the bases. That type of style, I would say I have,
Mhm.
and I want to continue to have. Once you get so caught up in like the whole analytics side of things, I think that's when the overthinking comes into play. And keep it stupid or keep it simple, stupid. I like to
Yeah.
follow that motto a little bit and run with that. But overstimulate these kids into overthinking things. Like they're playing a kids game, and I understand that. And I want them to enjoy their opportunity of playing in the game.
Yeah, like I kind of equate to like fantasy football you and I were just talking about, right? I mean, I don't know if you're with ESPN or Yahoo or whatever, but you see the projected points. Like I had Rico Dowdle 2 weeks in a row projected 7 points. Him
Yeah,
30. Like again, you can project and do all this other stuff, but you got to also look at okay, like baseball, you look at matchups. The Yankees matched up. I thought the Red Sox were better than the Yankees. Well, come to find out the Yankees were at least a little bit better than Boston. A lot of people say that favored them. Against the Blue Jays, it favored the Blue Jays because the Yankees struggled at home. Obviously, their pitchers struggle for whatever reason. You could say cameras, you could say whatever. I don't know what it was. All I know is that the Yankees look bad, right? For you guys in particular at the high school level, you're looking at okay, you like not just inside, but outside because these are 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old young men who are dealing with school, dealing with if you have seniors, they've got the last first of everything, graduation, prom. The last like I remember I was talking to a coach in the Valley. I was actually at a stag, coincidentally enough, and we were talking about sports, right? Perfect time to do that. Awesome
hmm
stuff.
yeah,
But I was picking his brain because it was him and a couple of his coaches, and I just sat there, was just kind of chattering, talking back and forth. And he said, the most difficult month for a coach in the spring is the final month and a half of school, especially for the seniors, because they're kind of not that they're 1 foot out the door, but it's like they got college potentially, graduations and proms and finals, and it's like, by the way, also you got a game to play too that if you're trying
yeah,
to compete for a title. So like trying to get all that in, that kind of stuff you can't equate into a piece of paper. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't.
yeah. No, and I think it goes back to like your culture and your expectations for these kids. And I understand at the end of the day, yes, they are still high school, student athletes, but they made an agreement to be on this team and to really follow through on doing anything possible to help their team win. And I don't think we'll have any issues with that. I hope not. But the group that we have coming back are a bunch of really good kids. Like I said before, they've been playing together since they were like 5 years old. So it's just a really nice opportunity, for me to walk into for my first year, to have so many guys coming back. It's pretty much just like a dream job for me and a dream situation. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I look forward to being able to see you guys. Hopefully, I'll have an opportunity to call your games down the road, but overall, maybe I'll see you for basketball. I mean, that would be cool. I've yet to do a New Canaan game during the regular season. I know you guys scrimmaged Crosby 2 years ago. We weren't calling the
Mhm.
game. But hopefully down the road I'll be able to see you guys for basketball. If not, for yourself for baseball. Or maybe I could just see all the boys at once and do basketball. Why not?
Yeah, we got a good group coming back this year for basketball too, so I'm excited for both seasons for sure.
I heard about that.
Looking
Tish told
forward
me
to
about
it.
basketball. He told me about
Yeah,
it. I
we're
like that.
excited, really excited.
Nice man. Well, Jay, congratulations, man, and best of luck.
Chris, thank you for having me on. Appreciate
Always,
it.
always. I'll wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. Next time, stay safe. Remember, CT Stamps Connecticut Talent. Try to find them all. Enjoy the show, everybody, and be well.